This is Vet Tales, the story of the sailing veterinary clinic. Last episode, we sailed to San Cosme to run a free clinic day with our vet student Jeremiah. This episode, we all set sail to Juncalito to do a spay day. So we are currently sailing, which is nice. Yeah, so it was a good visit. We really didn't know what to expect in San Cosme. We'd had some friends go and ask around, but it was, yeah, they kind of knew of some of the dogs, knew there was horses, that kind of thing, so we weren't really sure what the needs would be. All the doggies, though, did need to be vaccinated and also needed flea, tick and worming. Ticks are really common in that area, and they all did have ticks, so it was really good to get that for them. So yeah, Polo, Princesa, Chiquita and Hector all got their preventative healthcare, so that's good news. And the owners also asked about extra tablets and things to get them through for tick season as well that's coming up. So we talked about the best brands and different things like that, so they're going to make sure they get some of that to repeat in a month for them. But they're all looking very healthy, all healthy little animals. Both females are spayed. They would like to eventually do the males as well, so we're kind of thinking maybe next time we're hoping to repeat spay and neuter in Agua Verde, you know, next year or something like this, so we'll keep them up to date with that. And now we are heading to Candeleros, which is another nice anchorage where we actually get cell service, because we've not had cell service for a few days. So we're going to find out about whether we're basically planning on spaying 2 female dogs in Juncalito, the ones with all the babies. But basically I just had to send Sandy an email right before we ran out of cell service being like, hey, we can do this, let me know. And so we don't actually know yet. So we're going to check that out, see if Sandy's gotten back to us. And then also just catch up on things like getting Patreon live update online and a video online. So yeah, that's the plan. And then we'll head to Juncalito the next day. Jim's just sorting the snubber out. And we are anchored up in Candeleros. We really like this anchorage. We anchor here a lot. You get good cell service, and because we don't have Starlink or anything, that works well for us. And it's really pretty. So good snorkeling along here, good hikes, resort. And not that we've ever been to the resort, but yeah. I'm also wearing my plate, that's why my voice sounds funny. Because my jaw has such bad arthritis, I have to wear this more. The joys of grinding your teeth. Yeah, so we're going to stay here tomorrow and just maybe go on a hike and do some snorkeling and catch up on computer work and emails and find out if we are spaying these 2 dogs, which I hope we are.
Yeah.
Why are you so sad?
This wind.
Why does it make you sad?
Because we sailed in very little wind and then it died, and then we had a motor, then we anchored, and now we have really strong wind coming from the south. We could have sailed all the way here if we had just left like 2 hours later.
Sad boo.
Wow, wow, wow.
Stay hook, suture, clamps.
Essentially, Obsidian is just like any other note-taking app, but you
Alright, there's a very mild northeasterly right now. It's enough to move the flag. So we're going to pick up anchor while this is blowing and see if we can at least sail part of the way to Juncalito today. It's only, I think, 9 or 10 miles, so we don't have super far to go, and we'd love to sail for a little bit. So yeah, that's the plan. I just did some terrible filming of Jim putting the sail up because we did have to actually point quite close to that rock and there is a reef extending. So I was filming but also trying to keep an eye on the reef. So excuse the terrible footage. That is why Jim is generally the man behind the camera.
Ready?
Yep, ready. Got the line ready. So I'm just keeping some tension on this line, which helps the furler stay nice and neat as it comes out. See, look there. Pretty light winds. We're sailing very slowly. 0 knots it's saying right now, but I think we're actually going more like 2.4, 2.1. We got like a slightly, it's a beam reach, it's just slightly forward of the beam. So yeah, we might just try playing with the sails a little, see if we can get a little more out of it, but we're leaving them pretty loose at the moment just because it's such light wind to try and catch as much as we can. Yeah, go from there. Like I said, we just don't have that far to go, so 2.5 knots is fine. And I'm gonna loosen this one. Try to kind of throw it over with like more main sheet out and it over more. I think that's like a technique you can use in lower winds. Yeah, I'm just trying to like change the sail shape a bit. When it's nice light winds like this, it's a really good opportunity to like adjust the sails a little bit and see like if we get more, you know, more speed, less speed. So what I've done is I've pulled the main sheet track, the car, over to the windward side of the boat. So to the, towards the wind. And then I've let the main sheet off further to then push the sail back into basically the same position as what it was in when the cart was in the middle with a shorter main sheet, to try and see if I can change the shape of the sail a little bit. And I believe in light winds that technique can help with sail shape. So anyway, we're trying it. And I think we're getting like 0.2 knots more maybe. Or has it kind of dropped back down?
No,
it's such light wind.
We're hitting like 2.5 knots consistently now. Before we were like 2.1.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we're getting a consistent 2.5.
It's probably easier if I explain actually like this. So the cart was in the middle of the boat and then the main sheet came up more or less into this same position. And what I've done is move the cart further over to the side of the boat and then made the main sheet longer. So the sail's in basically the same position, but it kind of changes the shape a little bit. The max I've picked up is 3.5, but it's staying around 3. So if we're getting 2.4 knots out of like 3.5 knots of wind, that's pretty dang good. It just gusted to 3.7.
Wow, exhilarating.
Hold on. I'm really busy installing some new wind meters for the boat, so we can tell what the wind direction is when it's light like this. Very complicated system. Let's see if I have all the equipment I need.
Is it connected to the backbone?
Yeah, we've got it connected to the technological backbone of the boat so that we can, you know, the autopilot's hooked into it. It's going to be very complicated. and may even have to cut them a little. Oh, that's kind of working. Maybe I cut it even a little shorter. Oh yeah, so now we can kind of tell the wind's essentially coming like this. And I'll put one on the other side too. Yeah, you may find watching the islands the easiest thing since it's like actually something to watch. And so you'll see she's heading towards the island now, so you pull it towards you a bit. And what'll happen too, if we get like stronger wind, she'll really try to turn that way on you, and then you got to pull a little harder, and then she'll come back, and like you'll kind of get the feel for when the wind dies and picks up.
Boat life is crazy. I feel like you have to be ready to be uncomfortable because you have absolutely no idea what it is going to be like. You can have it described to you. You can have it explained to you. You can go and watch YouTube videos about it. You can ask people about it. But until you're in that situation, I don't know if you truly understand it. And for me, I'd never been on a boat before. I get car sick, so I was a little bit motion sick some of the time. But I feel like the boat life was absolutely amazing. It was really fun. Doing it full time is kind of crazy, but I did enjoy my time. It makes me want to get a boat at some point. And I feel like one of the biggest things that I enjoy about it is the fact that you feel really free. You just have the open ocean. You can go absolutely anywhere. You can travel the world. And no matter where you're going, if you're passing the same mountain or you're going the same route that you always go, you're going to see something new. And you're just going to be able to feel free in a sense. And at times, if you don't have internet, like we didn't have internet on our boat, you are forced to completely disconnect from the world. And that's something that's hard to do nowadays. But being on a boat forces you to do that. So, yeah, I love the boat life. It is uncomfortable at times. You got to plan a lot, plan ahead. But if you have a good crew, the people make the boat experience what it is.
So I'm going to hit the gear.
We lost the wind.
And you'll feel it turn. So you can keep. Wow, we got past the island and then there was a little wind again. So we've turned the motor off and just pulled the head sail out for now because we're pretty close. And we're also mostly going kind of downwind now, so I think the main would probably just block the head sail anyway. And yeah, we'll see how long we can make this take. We're anchored up in Juncalito again. We anchored quite close to one of our patrons' boats because we're going over to see them later. And then the town is just over there. And basically today, heading over to see our patrons, and they picked up some extra fruit and veg for us in town. And they're going to refill our water for us and a few things like that. So going to go over there. Then get all finalised, getting all the veterinary supplies together. And then tomorrow morning, head in, do the spays and possibly a couple of extra vaccines for people who weren't around last time we were here. But first, I'm gonna jump in the water. We tried to park pretty close to the beach so we can go swimming. People kind of, gotcha. You know, it's kind of like kind of shared accommodation style where people... Yeah, we've got water, got heaps of water. And some bananas and apples. Going through everything one last time. I have to make sure I definitely have everything. Catheters. Yeah. We're going to bring like an apple in. We're on our way in with all our veterinary supplies. Ready. Our entourage. Coming to help us today. We were back at Juan's house to spay the two mother dogs we'd seen the week before and to check up on the puppies that had anemia to make sure everything was getting better. Jeremiah is still early in his veterinary studies and hadn't had much exposure to surgery, so we were really excited to share the spay techniques with him and have him involved in monitoring anaesthesia. Alrighty, I'm going to start the incision and we'll see how. So she'll probably have a big-ish uterus since she's had puppies recently, but that should mean it's easy to find, and generally it also means it's relatively easy to pull out. So I have a feeling she'll be a bleeder. Ovulation follicle. She already has a follicle, which means she would have ovulated, so she is ready to get pregnant again. So it's good we're doing it. In theory, she shouldn't be because she has very young puppies, but the dogs don't always read the textbook about that stuff.
That's crazy. I didn't think that's what it was gonna look like.
Clinic, this would be on a scalpel blade holder. Yeah, I do have one. I haven't used one for like muchos años, so.
So I go from this way, or can I do this?
Whichever way you want, yeah, that might be better.
And here's good?
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all right.
I feel accomplished.
Yeah. And so you can see both sides of the uterus. Sometimes in an ideal world, you try and go pretty low and go above the cervix, but it doesn't actually matter. And so then I release it, hold it, and then I'm checking for bleeding. So like that's probably just the blood that was left over, so we give it a good squeeze, and then we check if any more blood comes. And there's nothing coming, which means that my ties are stopping the blood. Put it back in and look again because it's a bit looser. There's blood down there, but that's not coming from this. And she's good to go.
Within the world of veterinary medicine, there is a big emphasis on the quote-unquote like gold standard of care. And of course that's beautiful, but when you get into serving a diverse population of people and communities around the world, there's a certain thought of spectrum of care that has to come into mind, I feel, in terms of making sure that everybody has the best care that's applicable to their specific situation. Not everybody has an insane amount of money, or the vet doesn't have a exorbitant access to resources as they do in a fancy hospital with fancy x-rays and fancy equipment, and somebody with a high-paying job that has a whole bunch of discretionable income. So being at Cornell and in a vet school that is one of, if not the best in the country and in the world in general, we have access to a lot of things, and we serve a population that is pretty well off and has money to spend on their pets, on their animals. But in that same breath, it doesn't mean that the people that we serve love their animals any less. It just means that they live a different life and they have a different situation than their counterparts, if that makes sense. But with that being said, I feel like there's a spectrum of care and adaptability and flexibility that we had to exhibit and that I learned out there in the field. I have some veterinary experience, but a lot of the veterinary experience I have has been here in the States at fancy facilities. And when you are serving a community and you're in a remote community, you don't have access to a lot of things. We had to hang drip bags where we could hang drip bags. We did a spay where we could do a spay. We didn't have access to like gas anesthetics. It had to be an IV anesthetic. And it's just things that I never would have had to experience if I only worked in a fancy facility and access to a bunch of resources with clients that had insane amounts of money to be able to spend on their dog. But it showed me that regardless of what a person can offer their pet in terms of their monetary means, it doesn't mean that they love their animal any less. And it does not mean that me as a vet or us as a vet team couldn't serve them the best way that we could.
That's number 2 done. She also looks like she ovulated as well. So they were both ready to be re-impregnated, I think. So it was good. good they were both done.
This project was a huge team effort which was made possible by our donators and supporters, both in person and from far away. Sandy and Julie were a big help in getting this project organised, and we really appreciated having Jeremiah with us assisting with surgeries and crewing on the boat. You can contribute to projects like this one by becoming a patron or making a once-off contribution through our website. Next episode, we continue with puppy checkups and see some more animals around town, sharing the sailing vet clinic life with Jeremiah. Until then, stay chuffed, everybody.